I want you to imagine something. A small child, 4, maybe 5 years old, sits up in bed, trembling. The room is dark but not silent. There's the sound of the wind, the hum of a heater, the faint creak of old wood settling, and then the voice. "Daddy! Daddy! There's something in my room!" The light flips on. A door opens. A groggy adult steps into the frame, rubbing their eyes. "What is it now?" they ask, weariness laced with just a touch of irritation. "There's something under my bed. I heard it." The parent sighs. "There's nothing under the bed. Go back to sleep." "But I saw it." "You didn't. It's just your imagination." "Please check." Another sigh. The parent kneels, lifts the bedskirt, glances beneath. "See? Nothing. No such thing as monsters." "But it's all in your head." And that, right there, is where the crime occurs. Not in the lie, not even in the negligence, but in the verdict. It's all in your head. That phrase, spoken with the casual authority of the adult world, delivers a sentence far more damning than any monster ever could. For it says this: you are the problem. Your fear is not valid. Your sight is not trustworthy. Your experience is not real. And that, my friends, is how we train children to abandon their own perception in favor of consensus reality. That is how we teach them that when something haunts them, they must first prove it exists before anyone will believe them. And that, precisely that, is the inconvenient hassle in the middle of the night. Not the fear, not the monster, but the impossible task of proving that something is not there. Let us speak plainly now. To prove the non-existence of a thing is logically impossible. It is not a matter of will, nor of intellect, nor of effort. You cannot prove there are no dragons in the attic. You cannot prove that no one is watching you. You cannot prove that the voice you heard was not real. You cannot prove that love wasn't there, just because it disappeared. And you certainly cannot prove to a child at 3:17 a.m. that monsters don't exist. Why? Because the child doesn't live in your world. They live in theirs. A world in which reality is not dictated by consensus, but by feeling. A world still partially connected to the unseen. A world where the veil is thin, and where sounds are alive, and where the imagination has not yet been put in a cage. When a child says, "There's a monster under the bed," they are not offering a hypothesis. They are reporting a condition. And our response? We say, "There's no such thing." We say, "It's all in your head." We say, "Go back to sleep." And we leave them, alone, in the dark, with the thing we refuse to name. That is the real monster. That is the betrayal. Not that the child is afraid, but that they are told their fear is false. And we wonder why, years later, these same children grow up to second-guess their instincts, question their memories, and struggle to know whether they can trust what they feel. Because from the beginning, we trained them to doubt their own eyes in favor of our comfort. We taught them to self-abandon, and all in the name of reason. Now, some of you may be asking, "But philosopher, surely you're not saying the monsters are real." And to you, I say, that depends. What do you mean by real? If a child can hear it breathe, feel it watching, smell its foul breath in the folds of the dark, is that not a kind of reality? If a memory keeps returning long after the wound has closed, is it not still alive? If a suspicion haunts you in the night, causing your heart to race and your mouth to go dry, what more do you want from it? The truth is this: there are many things that are real without being material. Shame is real. Guilt is real. Grief is real. Jealousy, paranoia, longing, abandonment, betrayal. None of these can be picked up and held, but we live and die by them. So yes, monsters exist. Maybe not with claws and fangs and green eyes, but they exist. In the family silence that follows a child's cry, in the night terrors that go unexplained, in the gaps between a parent's words and a child's fears. They exist in the space between what we can say and what we feel. They exist in the dark. This brings us to the deeper point. The phrase, proving the non-existence of something, can be quite an inconvenient hassle in the middle of the night, is, in one reading, a joke. a wry, exasperated remark about the futility of nighttime logic. But in another reading, one we pursue tonight, it is a cry. A cry on behalf of all those who were once small and afraid and unheard. A cry on behalf of the adult self still lying awake at night, trying to convince the body that nothing is there, that the past is over, that the monster is gone. But the body doesn't listen, because it knows better. It knows that even if the thing is gone, the effect remains, the imprint, the shape of fear. This is what trauma is. It is not a memory. It is not an event. It is an imprint, a presence that has become part of the body's internal weather system. And trying to prove that it's gone is as useless as arguing with a thunderstorm, which is why, in the middle of the night, so many of us still find ourselves whispering, "There's something here," even if we can't say what. Now let us turn our gaze for a moment not to children, but to adults. Adults who lie awake staring at the ceiling, wondering, was I wrong? Was it my fault? Did that thing I thought I saw really happen? This is the grown-up version of monster-proofing. This is the intellectual adult trying to disprove the thing that keeps clawing at their chest. Maybe it's a betrayal. Maybe it's a whisper from childhood. Maybe it's the sound of their father's anger. Maybe it's the absence of a mother's voice. And they want to dismiss it. They want to say, "It's all in my head," because that would be easier. But deep down, they know it was never just in their head. It happened, even if they can't prove it, even if no one else remembers, even if the monster had a human face. And so we return to the child, to the moment they cry out in fear. And the parent, what are they supposed to say? Shall they lie? Shall they dismiss? Shall they soothe with platitudes? Or can they say something braver? Something like, "I don't see the monster, but I believe you're scared, and I will stay with you until the fear passes." That is all the child wanted. Not proof, not logic, presence, not evidence that nothing is there, but comfort that someone is. You see, the whole crisis could be resolved, not by proving the absence of monsters, but by refusing to abandon the one who sees them. This is the moral failure of modern life. We believe that explanation replaces intimacy. We think that proof dissolves pain. We imagine that because we don't see the monster, no one else should fear it, and in doing so, we leave people behind. We call them dramatic. We call them irrational. We call them hysterical. We say, "That was years ago." We say, "It's all in your head," and we become the parent again, flipping off the light and walking away, back to bed, back to reason, back to sleep. But let me say something dangerous now. There is a cost to that sleep. Every time we dismiss what someone says because it doesn't match our view of reality, we reinforce the rule. Only the provable is permissible. Only the visible is valid. Only the confirmed is real. And we train each other to hide. We train children not to tell the truth. We train women not to speak up. We train men not to cry. We train the haunted not to talk about their ghosts, because there's no such thing. But let me ask you, what if we reversed it? What if we said, there is such a thing, there is something, and even if I can't see it, I will not leave you alone with it? That, to me, is the real answer to the fragment, not the joke, not the hassle, not the burden of logic, but the call to presence. Because at 3:17 a.m., no child needs a philosopher. They need someone to sit at the edge of the bed and say, "You're not crazy. You're not alone. I'm here." And maybe, just maybe, if we said that often enough, the monsters would begin to leave. Not because they were never real, but because we stopped feeding them silence, because we stopped giving them the dark. So tonight, let us remember this. Some things are real even when they cannot be proven. Some things are true even when they are invisible. And some fears are not flaws in the system. They are maps, maps that point to something important, something sacred, something waiting to be heard. And if we refuse to listen, well, That's when the monsters win. Not when they show up, but when we abandon the ones who see them. That is the real inconvenience in the middle of the night. Not proving that monsters don't exist, but refusing to believe the ones who see them.